We've talked about drought, we've talked about potential future wars over water, and we've talked about the California drought situation. And unfortunately, scientists are saying that there's a pretty significant chance that this is not going to be just a passing water problem for California. Scientists believe that the current 3-year dry period in California might just be a preview of what is to come. On Thursday, scientists announced findings from a new study which shows that the southwestern U.S. has greater than an 80% chance of at least a 10-year drought within the next century. Some areas, including California, have a probability of greater than 90%. The study also finds, listen to these numbers, a 20 to 50% chance of a megadrought lasting more than 35 years, a 5 to 10% chance, relatively small, of a 50-year megadrought. Here's a quote from the study. For the southwestern U.S., I'm not optimistic about avoiding real megadroughts, said Toby Alt, Cornell Assistant Professor of Earth and Atmospheric Scientist and a lead author of this paper. As we add greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, and we haven't put the brakes to stop that, we are weighting the dice for megadrought conditions. I understand states' rights. I understand how this country was built and how it functions from a states' rights point of view. But people need to realize that those lines on the map that draw borders between states are mostly imaginary. And this is not just a California problem, because if you think about the amount of our food that is grown in California, the water problem in California, if it continues, if it is even a fraction of as bad as this study says it could be, will affect other states. And we need to figure out a system, Lewis, to get water to California. And by the way, where you are in Texas, we've also talked about Texas towns. They're not growing the same amount of food as California, so the context is different. They're also running quite low on water.
Things are bad here. Some people say that one major hurricane over the Houston area or this general area could refill and replenish everything in this area, but who knows if that will happen. It's scary to think about because it's just some areas are so bad here. And I know in California, you've also got that extra risk of wildfires and things like that.
If people understandably recognize how bad wars can get, how bad armed conflict can get over oil, right? And we know that from decade after decade of conflict over oil. It's going to get pretty bad when it comes to wars over water. And we already see elements of this in the Middle East. There are many parts of the Middle East that don't have particularly solid water resources. This could get very, very ugly.
It could. Certainly, desalinization is a great option, but expensive, and it could have a bad impact on the seas that water is coming from.